you with us. We begin Hour 3 radio program here on a Tuesday afternoon. Nice to have you with Eddie Erickson and Colin Schmeling today as we take you home on a busy day. As we chat lots of baseball to get us started. We'll take you, of course, right up until 6 o'clock in the East, 3 o'clock in the West with Mad Dog all nation. You heard a little White Sox and Cub preview, a little Yankee and Met preview, a little Dodger and Angel preview. Eddie forgot that the Giants play a game today, so I'm not exactly sure where we stand with the Giants and A's. Clubhouse doors are opening late this afternoon out in the Bay Area, and Eddie lost, so we'll have to wait and see. Meanwhile, we get ready now for what should be an interesting scenario with the NFL and some other things going on in sports. Let's get a couple things on the board for you in this hour. The NFL, about time, and it made sense. They are going to change the catch rule. No longer is that ground going to be able to cause the fumble. To make a long story short, and it's convoluted and it's difficult to figure out, they just made it simpler. As simple as that. They're going to try to make it, when you think it's a catch, it's actually a catch, and not go back, replay 30 times in a row, find a different angle, or the ball moved there, so it's not a catch. It seems like they're going to make it a little easier. So in other words, the kid who made the catch against New England, James, there in the late December, that's a catch, which obviously was a huge play. The catch, of course, by Dez Bryant a couple of years ago against the Packers at Lambeau, which, would have given Dallas a win in that playoff game against the Green Bay team. That would have been a catch. So they're going to try to simplify it. They realized there was a problem here. The committee will now change the ruling of it, the wording of the ruling, and the officials will work on it in the offseason, maybe in preseason, and then maybe next year we'll get an idea of what a catch is again and what a catch isn't again. It's very confusing with this catch scenario, but they have tried to make more catches now instead of less catches. With the other rules, they were trying to take the catch away. Now they seem to try to put the catch back into the game. Goodell made this point during the Super Bowl week that we have to change this. He understood that this was a problem, and he has. And the NFL announced today that, they kind of explained it. I don't want to bore you to tears with the wording because it drove me crazy too. Bottom line is Dez Bryant and Jesse James, those are catches in 2018. They also issued a scenario about targeting. They haven't really put it into words yet, but it sounds like they're going to crack down on targeting in 2018 like they do in college. Maybe they go to replay, throw a player out. You target somebody in the head, you're going to pay for it now, and you're going to get ejected from the game. We'll wait and see how they clarify this, but the targeting issue in the NFL, which is long overdue, and they're trying to keep the game as clean as they possibly can. They may clarify it and really put it in writing, what is a targeting foul, and if you do something along those lines, you will be ejected. Meanwhile, the Giants, I think it's just newspaper chatter. I don't think it's anything more than that. The idea that Mara in the winter meet at the owners' meetings in Orlando a couple of days ago, the Giant owner basically said that, not quite ready yet to give a big contract out to Beckham. Remember, the Giants have control over Beckham throughout the year. That he's on his rookie contract, that first contract. I think he's making $8 million. They have no requirement. It's like the Rams and Aaron Donald last year, and that was why that was such a mess and why it took so long to report. The Giants have absolutely, no requirement. He's not a free agent. They're not going to franchise him. Nothing along those lines. Hasn't played in the league long enough. They have no requirement to get him signed to a long-term contract. That's the bottom line. And until they feel they have to do that, which won't be until next year, they feel, well, hold on now. Why give him $20 million a year now when we don't have to? It kills our cap space. And, that's $12 million we have to spend on him this year instead of spending on somebody else. And we don't have to spend it this year, $12 million on him. So why should we go out there and do that? Furthermore, he acts like an idiot off the field. He's very immature. He does silly things, and he embarrasses occasionally as a franchise. So that's what the Giants said. They're going to use his behavior as a way of explaining why they won't pay him the money this year. The reason why they're not going to pay him the money this year is they don't have to. That's the reason. In the salary cap structure of the NFL, why give a guy $20 million a year when he's not a free agent? You don't have to do that. So they're not going to do that with Beckham. And obviously Beckham then claims, well, then fine, I'm not going to go to OTAs. He didn't go last year. And I'm not going to show up at training camp. Donald did not show up last year. And the Giants then get nervous. They got a new coach, and everything else. Although we all know that Beckham will show up once the bell rings in September and he'll play. He's got to, because he's going to need the contract to play. He's going to have to show people what he can do and everything else coming off an injury. So no matter what Beckham says, once once week 1 hits, he's going to play. But the Giants don't want him in that situation where he shows up for the first week of practice and the first before week 1, and that's the end of it. The Giants don't want that. The Giants want him there, gung-ho, raring to go at the very least on July 30th. And it doesn't sound like right now that's going to happen because, the only thing that Beckham can do is hold out. Then you get into fines and all that thing. So this is going to get messy. Teams are going to call the Giants up to see if they're really interested. I know the Giants traded Jason Pierre-Paul, which surprised a lot of people in New York. So you never know. Nothing is sacred. But I think the Giants are smart enough to realize by keeping Manning, which is what they're going to do, probably not draft a quarterback, which I don't think they will do. They make sure they brought in an offensive left tackle. They got to make sure they give Manning somebody to throw the ball to. Ingram's a nice tight end, but Shepard is not enough. They have to, the receiver from Oklahoma, they have to keep Beckham on the team. I mean, Beckham is by far their best player. And he puts people in seats and, Giant fans don't like Beckham because he annoys them and, they're a staid crew. So they don't love him, but they do like him when he scores touchdowns. So the Giants are going to have to figure out a way to keep him happy without paying him the $20 million in 2018. And that's something that will be interesting. He will not be traded. Now, I know they traded Pierre-Paul, but I would be shocked if they traded Beckham. I mean, I really would. I just don't see that happening. There'll be a lot of noise. He won't be there for a while, but I do not think, in fact, you'll see Beckham get traded in 2018. He will be a Giant. So that's the NFL that we need to tell you about. 2 coaching moves today in college basketball. No surprise. Xavier's a good job, and you can win there, and it's in a good city, but, it's the Big East compared to the ACC, and it's not Louisville, and they may not be able to pay like Louisville can pay. So Chris Mack, a 7-year, $28 million deal with the Cardinal to coach Louisville after obviously the issue with the Patino. Mack's good coach. He's had a lot of success this year notwithstanding. There were a lot of rumors that he was going to take the job. Makes sense to me. So Chris Mack goes to Louisville. Also, Jeff Capel ends up with Pittsburgh. That might tell you that Duke is not ready, or Krzyzewski's not ready to leave Duke, based on the idea that you thought that maybe Capel would be the successor to Krzyzewski at Duke. Now, Capel played at North Carolina, didn't he? Coached Oklahoma. I think he played at Carolina, if I forget now. And so as a result, he's a Dookie, but he played at Duke. Capel, I get that confused. Okay, so from that perspective, you would think that maybe he would be the successor to Krzyzewski, and Krzyzewski said, I'm not ready to leave yet, so you might as well go. So he ends up at Pittsburgh. That's a tough job, Pittsburgh. ACC too. Very, very hard job. So Capel will go to Pittsburgh. That's a long-term job as far as replenishing the team. There's a lot missing. So that scenario stands too, with Capel going to Pitt. 2 hirings today in college basketball. And Odom, by the way, stayed at UMBC. I'm surprised. But Odom stayed at UMBC. They got a deal done there, so that was interesting from that standpoint. Rhode Island was opening. Thought maybe he had a chance there, but he stays at Pittsburgh, at UMBC. I mean, I know nobody cares, but if the game that really was interesting last night to me in the NBA was the T-Wolves. T-Wolves are trying to make the playoffs. No Jimmy Butler. I understand that. But they're trying to make the playoffs. They need every win they can get. And they got outscored 23-11 in the fourth quarter and lose to Memphis. And Memphis hasn't won a game on the road since basically in November. And they lost to Memphis at home. And Memphis has got 18, 19 wins. That is, Memphis made $1.3 million. It made 15 threes. But that is a terrible loss for Tom Thibodeau's T-Wolves. They still should make it over Denver, but that's a bad loss. I just wanted to make sure I told you that today. At home, Memphis, 7 games left in the season, 10 games left in the season. You're trying to get into the playoffs. That's a bad one. 12 after the hour, we continue. Mad Dog Unleashed.